So there are many self-care videos out there. I have posted several myself, but today I want to focus on self-care ideas adapted more specifically for creatives. Now you may wonder, why would some self-care practices be more adapted to fit creatives than non-creatives? Highly creative people tend to be predominantly Vata Dosha, one of the 3 Ayurvedic archetypes. And although the self-care practices I'll share in this video can be beneficial to most people, they'll be especially important for the Vata Dosha or Vata archetype, or highly creative people. So Ayurveda is the oldest health system in the world. It comes from India and it's the sister science of yoga. It's even the precursor of Chinese medicine. According to Ayurveda, there are 3 main archetypes called doshas: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Each archetype has certain characteristics that influence our mental, emotional, and physical health. And certain type of food and lifestyle habits and self-care practices are more appropriate for each dosha. Now, everyone has the 3 archetypes but in different proportions, and we usually have one archetype or one dosha that's predominant. For example, I have some Vata, I have some Kapha, I have some Pitta within me, but there's one of these archetypes that is predominant. In my case, it's Vata. So Vata dosha is the air element. The characteristics of this archetype reflect those of the wind, so always in movement, irregular, changing, cold, dry, light, and free. Vata people tend to be very creative and imaginative, and they have many ideas constantly popping into and spinning in their heads like tornadoes. They are independent and free-spirited and can also be impulsive. They often have difficulty focusing on and committing to one thing at a time and also following through on their ideas. When their Vata is out of balance, when it's in excess, they can get easily distracted, bored quickly, and even feel restless. And because they are prone to overthinking and worrying, they commonly experience anxiety and even insomnia. So now that you have an idea of the main characteristics of Vata dosha, you'll be able to better understand why some self-care practices are more adapted to this specific dosha. So the first one is to take a few minutes or more to relax in the morning. So the Vata mind is very active by nature, and too much stimulation can increase mental agitation. So it's a good idea to leave your phone on airplane mode for the first hour after waking up, or even longer if you can, and not jump on TikTok or Instagram first thing in the morning. Also, try to wake up just a few minutes earlier and spend some time quiet and focusing on yourself before tackling your daily tasks and activities. You could read a book or meditate or write in your journal, for example. I spend about an hour reading in the morning, and I think it's become my favorite part of the day. It makes me feel calmer, and it sort of helps me start the day on the right foot. To balance out the dry and cold tendency of Vata dosha, you can make yourself a warm and hydrating morning beverage. So warm water is more hydrating than cold water, and since Vata is dry by nature, proper hydration is really important. Know that coffee doesn't count here because it's drying. That doesn't mean that you can't have coffee in the morning. I have coffee every morning. But make yourself another warm drink that's gonna hydrate your body, like herbal tea or hot water with lemon. The next self-care practice is to write your goals down and read them often. And here's why. Vata people are easily distracted and they tend to have difficulty staying focused on one thing at a time, whether it's a project or a task or an idea. They are more sensitive to the shiny object syndrome than the other archetypes, and it makes it difficult for them at times to follow through on their ideas and even achieve their goals. That's the story of my life. So one thing that helps me staying focused on my goals is to write them down and read them often. By doing this, I'm constantly reminded of my most important goals, and I found that it then becomes easier to make the right choices that will help me move toward those goals. Plus, research shows that we are 42% more likely to reach our goals when we write them down. And the reason why it's a self-care practice is that when you have clear written goals and are less easily distracted, you're less likely to experience anxiety. The next practice is to do one thing at a time and to do your best. So Vata people, we love multitasking. We can easily have 15 tabs open on our browser, eat while scrolling on Instagram, and read a blog post while the TV is on. So to balance out an excess Vata, we must train ourselves to be present and do one thing at a time. And one thing that helps me be more mindful and present is to apply Don Miguel Ruiz's fourth agreement from his book, The Four Agreements, and is to do your best. Doing our best for even the most mundane task forces us to do it mindfully. When you wash the dishes, do your best. When you make your bed in the morning, do your best. Be here, now, and do your best. The next self-care practice is to ground yourself. Because Vata is very heady, it's essential to balance out any excess Vata to ground ourselves. And a very simple and effective way to do that is literally grounding or earthing, meaning walking barefoot on the natural soil or on the grass. What I usually do is when I go running at the park, after I finish running, I just sit on the grass, I take off my running shoes and I just put my feet on the grass and I stay there for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, depending how much time I have. And if you have a backyard, it's even easier. You can just go in your backyard and even sit on a chair if you want, as long as your bare feet touch the grass or the soil. Next is to practice yoga or qigong or martial arts. So a great way to get out of our heads and bring ourselves into our bodies and be more present is to practice yoga. If you're not a fan of yoga, practicing qigong or martial arts or even climbing have a similar effect. These forms of exercise force us to focus on our bodies and be fully present. So another easy way to stop mental agitation, to be more present and also reduce feelings of anxiety is to focus on our breathing. I personally like the 5-minute breathing technique called the Heart-Coherence Exercise. And there's actually a lot of science behind this technique. I read a book called, I think it's 365 Coherence or 365 Breathing. I'm gonna link the book in the description below, but it explains the science behind it and what it does to our bodies. But I'm still gonna tell you how to do it. So first you must sit with your back straight, like upright. And it's very simple. So you just breathe in through your nose, counting to 5, and then breathe out through your mouth, counting to 5, but breathe out very softly as if you were blowing into a straw. And you repeat this pattern 30 times. So it's 30 full breaths and it's a total duration of 5 minutes. It's best if you don't count in your head while you do the exercise and instead just focus on your breathing. So I've made a video of a ball moving up for 5 seconds and down for 5 seconds, and you can use the video to help you do this exercise. I'm gonna link it in the description below. And next is to do something creative. So self-care is also about doing things that make us feel good and happy and fulfilled. And Vata people tend to feel fulfilled when expressing their creativity. If that's your case, make sure to make room in your life for creative activities. If you enjoy writing, perhaps you could write a little bit every day. Same if you like drawing or making jewelry or filming videos or cooking new recipes. Whatever creative hobby you might have that makes you happy, if you have one, make sure to do it often. And thank you for watching, guys. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if it was by giving it a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't. And that's it. I wish you a beautiful week and I'll see you next week.